Hello everyone, GSWork here, and in front of me is a hybrid auto-crafting system. It's not the fastest, it's not the smallest, but hey, it gets the job done. I'll start by demonstrating how it works. First, we have to deactivate the kill switch. Nothing is running. I'll activate the primer, and just like that, items are flown into the crafter. And we are auto-crafting pistons. Hooray! Now I can stop the crafter at any time, and resume it, and nothing will break. It's that robust. I can even exit and reload the world, and it doesn't break. But if you do end it at the end of the cycle, or run out of items, you'll just have to reprime the system. Not that bad. So, you might be thinking, hold on, doesn't this seem a little bit overly simplified? Like, what about all the dummy items used for filtering out complicated shaped recipes? So for that I say, why take the time to get an entire shulker box filled with dummy items, run them through the system, filter them out, when you can just click a button. It's that simple. Rather than overcomplicating things, take advantage of a feature that Mojang implemented for this very reason. So the crafters open the exposed here to deactivate spots when needed. Now I'll demonstrate the rates by deactivating the kill switch, do a tick freeze. I will activate the primer, clear the chest here, and take a step back because this does get kind of loud, and do a tick sprint for 3600 seconds, or 1 hour. And if you notice, yeah, that's kind of loud. Mojang, you fixed the sound for pistons, now fix the sound for droppers, please. So, to explain how this works, we have a row of dust being powered and unpowered here, briefly unpowered to allow one item through the hoppers into the droppers, which then forces the items into the crafter. Once the crafter is full, it's compared to another crafter, so only when the crafter is completely filled with or without slots being deactivated, we'll send a signal to this torch tower to then briefly deactivate and allow one item through. Meanwhile, we'll activate the note block and have the observer send a pulse to craft the item, all while this clock is constantly going so that the observers are running non-stop. And at the end of 1 hour, we see that we end up with 20 stacks and 5 or 1,285 items. I don't like the fact that we have 5 extra items here. I prefer if it had just cut off, but with all the weird delays and timings we've got in the back here, it's not perfect dropper speed, but I'd say it's pretty good for what it is, especially compared to a hopper-based system. So let me activate the kill switch and unfreeze the game. To have a consistent design, you have to have a pyramid shape like this, otherwise things tend to break, whether you're on Java or Bedrock. To demonstrate this, I have a bunch of hoppers here. Let me go ahead and lock them and deactivate this kill switch. Let one item pass through. Okay, so we have one item in each of these hoppers in the first slot, right? Let me freeze the game. Tick freeze. Unpause this. Step forward for 7 ticks. Repause this, and I'll unfreeze the game. Now, what do you think would happen in this situation? If you thought that A, some items end up in the second slot, you would be correct, because for some reason, not every time, but this item got pushed into this hopper before this hopper could push its item into the next one. In other words, we end up with 2 items in this hopper, and this will again happen, meaning that this item in the second slot will always be here until the end of the recipe, and that's going to completely mess up the end result here in the crafter. So the iron ingot here ends up in the very last slot. Yeah, kind of weird, but when it does work, we only end up with 15 stacks and a little bit extra over the 1 hour. So it's about 25 or 75% the speed of the dropper-based design. Why not just go with the dropper base if it's faster and more reliable? You might also be tempted to use a 3x3 grid on the top, which looks really nice, but man, is this a pain to deal with. Aside from the fact that it gets bigger and bigger the more you try and look at it, you have to pulse a dropper here because you're not going to lock a center hopper. And then I feed those into a chain of hoppers underneath, starting from the top left, snaking to the bottom right. And yeah, the middle section here is inverted. And that's not a bad thing because 99% of the recipes are symmetrical, but there are 4 recipes that would break this. Coarse dirt, diorite, red nether bricks, and a lead. Why would you be putting a 2x2 recipe into a 3x3 grid? I don't know. But why is this a shaped recipe, Mojang? Please fix. Other than that, the lead here is a really odd case where we have a shaped recipe and 4 slots that are being skipped. But also, with a design like this, if you try speeding it up with droppers, you end up with a instant dropper chain by powering all of them at once, and you end up with a randomized recipe in the crafter. This was the closest that I was actually able to get without it crafting. So, this seems like the best design overall, in my opinion, and I'll go ahead and demonstrate how to build it. While I'm doing that, in the background, or in the top right, in editing, I'll go ahead and put a video of me manually crafting, and we'll compare the speeds. Ready, set, go. Okay, so I'll start by having a crafter to block off the ground, and I'll go out 9 blocks here. That may have been 10, but whatever. And we'll place a row of droppers facing in towards the crafter like so. And then on top of those, we'll go and place 2 rows of hoppers, both of them facing down. The top row doesn't actually have to face down, but it looks better. And then we'll place a row of observers facing downward onto the front side of the bottom hopper, like that. And then we'll place a row of solid blocks underneath those so that they can power the droppers, and then a row of dust on top of the observers so that they are being triggered by a clock on the side. Now I put a transparent block here so that we can put a chest here and it can still be opened. And I know if you place a double chest here, it's sticking out 1 block, so kind of annoying. Anyway, we'll continue the dust line here, down 2 blocks, and then we'll make a observer clock like this. One there, and the other one here. And now we need a block 1 here, diagonally, so that we can place a sticky piston downward like that. And we end up placing the kill switch right on top, like so. And that will deactivate the clock, but also activate the line of dust up top here so that no items can flow through these hoppers. Like so, because we have a line of dust. And now on the bottom, right underneath the crafter, or diagonally from the crafter, we'll place any block here. And diagonally from that, a note block, and reading the note block is a observer, which goes into a solid block to power the crafter. We'll place a solid block on top of the note block so it doesn't make a sound. We'll place 2 comparators, one facing into the side of the other, and the one on the side will be reading the contents of a filled crafter, like so. And now only when this crafter is full will we get a signal, and we'll go 2 blocks out. You can do more if you want, but 2 is all that's required, into a torch tower, like so. And we'll use that to power, to temporarily deactivate these torches, allowing 1 block item to pass through. And just like that, the system is finished. Now to add the primer, I just chose to go right behind the kill switch. It makes the most sense in my opinion. And if we had items, we'd be running. It's that simple. And right about now, you might be noticing that I have finished a manual crafting of a full shulker box of pistons. Yeah, it's about the same as it takes to build a system. Why take the time to build a system that then takes 80 minutes to make an entire shulker box when you can just do it by hand? Well, style. If you want to craft in style, here you go. Otherwise, do manual crafting. It's probably faster anyway. Anyway, that's all I got for today. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.